Hello again, this is Dr. James Camp from Lee College in Baytown, Texas, and today we're going to talk about variables and variable names in C++. Why do we need variables? A variable is a little bit of code that represents a memory address. It represents some place in computer memory where you can store a value that you want to remember for a little bit later. For example, let's say instead of saying hello world, we want to say hello to a particular person. Hello name. Okay. Well, we can do that by adding a variable name to our program. Now we immediately get a syntax error. Identifier name is undefined. That's absolutely correct because we haven't defined it yet. In C++, C++ is a strongly typed language that requires variable declarations. So before you can use a variable, you have to declare it. And the way you declare it is that you first give it a type, and then you give it a identifier. Okay. Now, I want to read in a string of text, and that is not a built-in type for C++. So I have to go back to my #include section here. Okay. String. Okay. So I can now use the standard : string type to hold text. But since I've got my using namespace standard up here that we set up last time in our first program, I can do without the standard : I can just call it a string. So string, and I called it name. Okay. And it's a good practice to get into to always give your variables a value to start with, just in case they get used before you get to set them again. Okay, because using an uninitialized variable can cause all sorts of havoc in your program later on. So I set my string name equal to an empty string, a quote followed by a quote with nothing in between. So if I were to run this code just like this, what would you expect to see on the screen? You'd expect it to print hello, and then whatever was in the value of the variable name there. Okay. Which is nothing. So let's see what happens. It says hello, and it prints nothing. Okay. So we need another statement, an input statement. And for that, we use the console input. Okay, if cout means console output, cin means console input. And we put we use double greater thans instead of double less thans. Okay, the metaphor here in C++ is that your console, I guess, is over on the left side of the screen, so output always points to the left and input always points to the right. So we just say cin name. Now if I run this, what do you expect to happen? Well, it's going to set name to an empty string, then it's going to ask me to enter a name, or it's going to allow me to enter a name, and then it's going to print that name. Okay. So I type my name, and it says hello James. Now there was a problem with that code, and that is that I didn't know, if I were just a random user, I wouldn't have known that I was supposed to enter my name there. So very frequently, almost always, a CIN statement should be preceded by a COUT statement that gives us a prompt. Please type your name. Okay, notice I left a space after this. A lot of people don't do this. They'll just put the quote right after the colon, and then the person starts writing right at the colon. That looks ugly. Leaving a little space there makes it a lot more user-friendly. So if I run it now, it says, please type your name, James. Hello, James. Okay, now I could continue this conversation. See out. What is your favorite number? CN favnum. Okay. Now again, this is one of those things where C++ programmers tend to shorten stuff just to save typing. I could have made this favorite number. Now here is a good time to talk about naming rules. Okay. Before I can read it in, by the way, just like up here, I had to create name before I could fill it out. I have to create this. Now, a number can be of type int or type double. We'll talk about that in the next video. Right now I'm going to make it an int. I can start this variable name with any letter in the alphabet. A, B, C. Okay. I can stick numbers in here. 1, 2, 3. I can stick underscore characters, so I can make it ABC underscore 1, 2, 3. I can change the case, so I can make A, B, C, D, E, F, like that if I want. That kind of looks ugly, right? So I can stretch together any combination of letters and numbers as long as I don't use any special characters. I can't use a $ sign or a % sign because those all have special meanings in C++. So what I can do here is say your favorite number. Okay, I can do that. This is called Camel Case because each new word has a capital letter, looks like the hump on a camel. Or, this is more common in C++ programmers, your favorite number. I can use underscores. Sometimes this is called snake case because it looks like a snake slithering along your code or something. For some reason, C++ programmers prefer the underscore thing, whereas like C# and Java programmers prefer the capital letters thing. It's just style. It doesn't make a difference. But I couldn't do your favorite # for number. See, it gives me an error there indicating that it thinks that's a keyword and doesn't know how to interpret that. Okay, so and notice that because I'm using an IDE, it tries to guess what I'm trying to type, and so I can double click your favorite number here and not have to type all those keystrokes. So it makes it very easy to have very descriptive variable names if you're using an IDE, because you can type just the first few letters and then everything else will pop up for you. Okay. And then I can see out I like the number your favorite number 2. End line. So I can make a little conversation here. And now when it runs, it says, please type your name. Okay. James. Hello, James. What is your favorite number? Well, ever since I read the Douglas Adams books, I've liked the number 42, so I'll give you that one. I like the number 42 too. Okay. So that shows you how to use variables in C++. Gives you a little flavor for what kind of names you can use for variables in C++, and gives you your first couple of types. There's one other type I want to introduce here real quickly. If I change this to what is your favorite letter, I would want to use a character type. Okay. Char, whatever you want to pronounce that, stands for character. Okay. Your favorite, now I change this to letter. Now here's a cool thing about using an IDE. You can go down to refactor, rename your favorite letter, preview. It shows me all the things that it's going to change, and I hit apply, and now I've changed that code everywhere in my program instead of having to go through and find, track down every time that I use that variable. Okay, so we've got a character variable now. We're going to run the program and see how that works. Please type your name. James. What was your favorite letter? C. I like the number C too because I forgot to change that code. Letter. Okay. Logic error there. Please type your name. James. What's your favorite letter? If I type 42, that's actually the character code for the character 4. Okay, so it interprets, if I type a number here, it interprets it as a letter. Isn't that funny? So if I did this again and I used 68, oh no, okay, it's just taking the first character that I typed. That's what it's doing. So it's not interpreting it as a number, it's interpreting it as a character 6. Okay. So here we go. Let me run it the way it's supposed to work. My favorite letter is Q. I like the letter Q too. Okay. What we saw previously is that if I type more than one character, and this is something you need to know about C++, if I type ABC and it's expecting one character of input, it's only going to grab the first character. It's going to say, I like the letter A too, and then it's going to end the program. So you have to be careful. If you really want to input more than one letter, you have to use a string. If you want to just input one letter at a time, you use a character. Okay. I think that'll do for our second programming lesson here. And we'll see you next time talking about numerical types and the difference between integers and floating points.